Okay, so we're back and we are now doing the 5 steps to process mapping. And we decided to choose the process of getting ready for a Botox and filler event. And this is when our Botox filler gal, Fancy Face, is coming in and getting ready to do an event with multiple people that a hostess has volunteered to do. And so a little bit of what we went through is first packing. So she'll need to pack up the supplies. Um, she'll need to do initial consultations with clients and having them fill out forms. She will have to create the atmosphere when she gets to the hostess's house of a sanitary atmosphere, professional equipment setup, emergency preparedness kit on hand just in case of any situation, and then a follow up. So we kind of took, like, she did a brain dump of all these tasks, and then we started to create categories. So her categories are um, packing and initial prep. So she'll do like preparing the hostess and packing up, and then actually at the event, the process of screening the clients, which include all of these parts and forms, and then um, doing the follow up part. So wrap up and follow up,
doing the treatment.
and then doing the and then doing the treatment.
after the
So
screening.
so right now where we're at is we kind of have developed categories, and we developed a whole big list of stuff that falls under each of the categories. So now we're moving into organizing. We're going to take a piece of paper and organize all of these little things into these categories that we've now created. So I will get a piece of paper.
I think there's one here. Just taking an empty one.
Okay, got an empty piece of paper. So it's going to be
Packing and prepping is first, right?
packing and prep, and that'll include phone call to hostess,
Mm-hmm. Giving a little gift.
Hostess gift, prep, and then it'll be table, forms, product,
supplies.
And what would you consider supplies?
Needles, gauze, so the cleaning agent, arnica gel, stuff like that. Gloves.
Okay, so I would recommend you actually creating a separate process for your supplies.
Okay.
And having, at minimum a checklist of supplies if you want that to be part of it, and then just call this supply, review supply checklist.
Okay.
That you'll want to probably have that so you're not missing any key elements. Okay. Which I can go into that with you and help you design that checklist, or you can do that one as a separate supplement, but I'm going to strongly recommend that be a thing. Okay, so you'll have your packaging and prepping. Now you arrive at the house and you set up the space, right?
Yeah.
And what were the steps in setting up the space?
Create a sanitary spot with professional equipment.
Okay, sanitary space, and we want
professional equipment. And then making sure I have the emergency prep ready.
Okay, so you'll have your cleaning it up. You'll have your table set up.
Uh-huh. I have my soap spray. I have my needles,
Okay, so professional equipment. Okay.
And then the emergency preparedness for
and then emergency preparedness setup.
And that means having the medicine and syringes available.
Setup. Okay, so it would be
part of the checklist.
And then you'll want to have your forms ready, right?
Yeah, then we go to the client screening with the forms.
So forms ready. Then we're going to do screening. So we'll do client screening, right?
Med history. form, and
Okay.
then I review it.
So med history form, each form is going to be a piece of this. And so what's the next form?
The different consents, whether they're consenting for filler or Botox.
Okay. Consents,
And that's that. And then their
forms,
consultation, I
And
guess,
then-
would be part of this part
yeah, and then their verbal consult.
of their face, like actually marking up their face.
Yes, and they do the verbal consult while you're walking through the thing. So it'd be the medical history form, the consent form. Are there any other forms?
No.
But that's it. Okay, no possible other forms.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so you'll do the verbal consult with them, and then actually
Then it gets to the point of actually.
screen and consult, please screening and consultation. And how long is the conversation after you reviewed their forms? How long do you consult with them before you do their treatment? Is it maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What do you need to build in?
I'd say somewhere between 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the person.
5 to 15 minutes.
And then I also review the cost with the consultation. We talk about the cost before I do anything to them.
Okay, and then cost review. Like if you were having someone else, if you were hiring another person and they were going to be on your team, you'd want them to cover the medical, make sure the consent forms are done, have a verbal consultation to make sure the client is comfortable and what they're exactly you're doing with them, and then the cost review.
Right.
Okay. At what point do they pay?
At the end,
Okay.
later.
All right. So this is just all so we have our packaging and our prep before we get to this is before.
And then I guess then
event.
we would want to put the aftercare instructions, unless
Yes.
that's its own box.
Yeah, so then so this is the screening, and then
Okay.
there's the actual, is there any process that we need to do during the treatment? Like, do we need to draw out a map for like the treatment and then putting the steps of the treatment in, like what you're doing with the people?
I don't think so, because that's all decided during the consultation. Like the
Yeah.
map of what you're going to do is
Yeah.
decided during the consultation.
Okay, so
So
then,
I'm actually putting dots on the people during the consultation. So my dots are already there on where I'm going to inject.
okay, so my final step is going to be do the service.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put it under the screening and the consult.
Yeah.
So we can call it screening, consult, and
Treatment.
Okay. And then the final one
We're
is
recording.
going to be wrap up and follow up,
Yeah.
right? And what do we want to do during wrap up and follow up?
You clean their face, which is just an important step, and then discuss aftercare instructions for whatever treatment they had, and then make an appointment for 2 weeks. And it's important to make the appointment so that you keep it.
Okay, so clean the face. I'm sorry, can you say that again? So you clean their face.
Discuss aftercare
Discuss.
based on what treatment they got.
Okay,
And
aftercare
give them,
plan.
I have little aftercare cards.
Okay, so discuss aftercare plan.
get
And then
card,
schedule 2-week appointment,
and then
right?
schedule 2-week appointment.
Now, okay, 2-week appointment. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to call this post-treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then wrap up and follow up is actually going to look different. Because with wrap up and follow up, I had down the notes from the other stuff that we wrote down. So that would be, where did I put follow up?
Here.
This. Oh, okay. Follow up. So this would be the actual, like putting stuff, like the wrap
I
up would
guess
be.
getting the payment and then creating a 2-week appointment. So the schedule needs to go over here.
Oh, no, we'll put that here. So we'll put client. So you clean their face, you discuss their aftercare plan, you schedule their next appointment for 2 weeks out, and then they pay. Client
Okay.
pays, right? And then this is more you putting your stuff away,
Oh,
following up with them, actually having that phone call in the 2 weeks, and then charting any additional notes, stuff like that. This is what I was thinking. But is there anything else here on this side? This is basically
No.
the post
Yeah.
treatment. Okay. So wrap up and follow up would be like cleaning up and putting away supplies, right?
Mhm. Seeing if anybody else wants to host a party. Put that idea out there
Clean up,
and socialize a little bit.
yeah, socialize and ask for hostesses or hosts Um,
Give the hostess her gift. Or I could do that at the beginning.
that might be good to give the,
Okay.
see, and that's why so we'll put that over there.
Okay.
I think I did put that over there,
Oh, okay.
actually.
Yeah, you did.
So give the host, and then, so it would be, hold, how long of a call would you usually do for a follow-up call? Is that like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes? Okay.
Text or call 5-10 minutes.
Text or call, 5 to 10 minutes to check on results. And then do you ask them to send a photo of themselves?
If I don't follow up in person,
Okay.
I get the
Okay.
photos.
Oh,
That's a
text,
super
call,
important
or
part. Get
in
photos.
person. And I'm going to put get photos, because I would imagine you could put those in the you could put those in the chart too,
Right.
like in their file.
I need those when we need to go back to treatment area. Treatment. Where did you put treatment?
So that is
Oh,
informed verbal, do treatment, do the
Oh.
treatment here.
Put photos. I
Okay.
have to make sure I get photos in that step.
Okay.
You have to get before and after.
So, and this is post treatment.
Right.
So clean. So you want to take photos before the treatment?
You have to take before and after.
Okay, gotcha. So before
put
photos
there, put photos here, and then photos here,
before photos, after photos,
and then 2-week photos.
2-week photos. Or you have them send them to you, right?
If we don't mean person.
Perfect. Okay, so this is fantastic. See how this is so helpful, because
Yeah.
like just capturing those little things, right? So this is
Yeah.
your whole event from beginning to from soup to nuts process. I recommend writing up a whole separate process for just what you're doing with the clients from
Okay.
A to Z. So I know like it's an extra step, but like just being like, this is what I do with the client from soup to nuts.
Okay.
And that's your signature fancy face process of handling a client.
Okay.
And writing up that whole thing, just like everything you're doing with them. Okay, so you can see that we bucketed this out in the format. What I'm going to do with her now is I'm going to take these and I'm going to use this board to draw this out for her so she actually can use it. So it's a little fun thing that we're doing. But
Yeah, I
we
love
have
that.
now mapped out her entire process. It's messy, but it's here. From packing up, getting to the house, setting up, performing the operation or performing the treatment, doing a follow-up on the treatment, and then doing a wrap-up and a follow-up. So our process map is 6 steps for event stuff. And out of this, we realize that there are 2 other processes that we want to do. One of them is everything she does for her particular clients, because that's her fancy face signature client process that she's going to use. And then we probably also need a checklist here for supplies, like a supply checklist of all the little things that she needs to go into her kit. And that way, if she were to ever delegate the work to someone who would be working under her wing, they would have the fancy face checklist of supplies, process, and they would have also the process that they follow for their particular clients.
Nice.
All right. So thank you guys so much. This is the coaching that we have done for today.